Here we have a vintage Midget that was built in the late 70s from Clasen and Janssen out in California. I hope I'm pronouncing their names right. It's obvious they were in the aeronautical industry because this car is built more like a airplane than a car. AN fittings throughout, Heim joints, safety wire. It's a beautiful manufactured car. I do believe the last time it was raced was sometime in the mid-80s, and that's just judging by the seatbelt manufacture date. The suspension is 4 torsion bars. The rims are 6-pin knockoffs on every side. I'll get up close to this one right here. So you can see the 6 pins and then the one lug nut in the middle. It's an impressive car. When they built this, they took what I believe was a 140 horsepower Chrysler outboard motor, laid it on its side, took off the carburetors, manufactured new intake manifolds, and took 12 Minkuni carburetors from a motorcycle and turned those into fuel injectors. So all those stacks you see on the hood, that's 12 injector stacks. As you can see, the car is just absolutely beautifully manufactured. Come in closer here. That was a radio, sometime from the 80s by the looks of it. And then that bottle behind it is the master cylinder for the brake. Above here, you have your filler with all the fuel lines going to the injection system, and that's the vent cap and the fill cap for the Halibrand quick change rear end. We'll come over here. On the left, that is a fuel regulator. You can adjust that on the fly. There's a tachometer, exhaust gas temperature, and the way that would work when your exhaust gas temperature rises, you'd richen up the carburetor or the fuel injection system, and that would be done by that knob right there on the fuel regulator. And then on the right is your water temperature gauge, and that knob all the way to the right is to advance and retard the distributor. There's a cable running from the distributor to that knob, so when you pull it out, it's full retarded right now. If you put it back in, it would go full advance. It's a quick change Halibrand shifter rear end, so that's a shifter. It's an in and out box, so you're the in gear or your out of gear. And next to that is the fuel pump, and then I'll try to show some of the plumbing for the fuel system. And that is a vintage Midget. Here we are underneath the hood. As I mentioned earlier, this thing is made with all aircraft quality items, so you're going to see a lot of AN fittings and safety wire. This item I'm pointing to right here is the fuel injection plenum. So the fuel is supplied to this through this line here, and then there's 12 output lines providing fuel to each carburetor or injector. On the exhaust, you'll notice that there's water, because this was a boat motor, being supplied into the head, and it's being ported around through all these AN fittings and lines. This right here is the exhaust gas temperature sensor, which provides the temperature to the EGT gauge in the dashboard. Now as we come over here, you'll see the unified fuel controller. Right down here, you'll see the CNC block. On the other side of that, of the firewall, is your gas pedal with Heim joints going into here. So it takes the one input of the gas pedal and turns it into 13 outputs. One for each carburetor, and then one for the fuel injection port. Here's a cooling system. See right down here is the water pump, and just a bunch of lines, circulating water throughout the motor. It is a belt-driven water pump. On top of the water pump is the distributor. It's a dual-point distributor system, and that is also belt-driven. Underneath this cover right here, you could probably see the belt. It's a cogged belt. And that's under the hood of this vintage Midget.